Hi greedy 3Ders. Well, who doesn't like Iron Man? Everybody likes Iron Man, and I don't know if you guys are like me, but one of the first prints I did when I got into 3D printing was Iron Man. And trying to work out what colours to use and how to paint it, etc. was a bit of a learning curve. Wicked have just released the Iron Man bust, Iron Man model and an Ironmonger sculpture, which is really lovely. And I thought I would just do a little model of Iron Man just to talk about the paints that I've used and just to talk about some of the effects that I've used to get the appearance that I've got. Now, I'm not here saying this is how you should do it, and I'm not here saying this is the best way in the world to do it, but this is the way I do it. And if you like what I do and if you find it works for you, then by all means you can do exactly the same. Let me show you the bust that I'm on about. This, it's got a wobbly head because it's got an interchangeable head, so forgive me the fact his head comes off. This is the Iron Man bust by Wicked, and I want to talk to you about how I got this paint to where it is now and some of the little tricks and details that I've used to get it to where it is. It really is easy, so do not be put off by the fact that it looks complicated. It's an easy paint process. So let me talk you through the process. So I printed this first and foremost using some Sunlu resin, and I used the Gears Ultracraft Reflex to print it on. This here is a video of me just pulling it off the printer, and as you can see from the quality of the Sunlu Basic on the Gears Ultracraft Reflex was beautiful, absolutely perfect, no real problems. Now you can't, or you shouldn't really use things like Sunlu on this printer. It uses its own dedicated resin, but I found out that it does work with it. It uses the settings that it normally sets, and I've done a whole video about that if you want to check that out. The next thing I did was I just used some black primer. Now in my case I've used some Army Painter black primer, but you can use anything you like. I didn't use a specific shiny one, I didn't use anything particular apart from a cheap old Army Painter black primer. That's the first coat it had. The next thing I did was I took some of this stuff here. I don't know if we can see that. There we go. So this is just a really cheap metallic paint that you can get on Amazon. It's really brilliant stuff, and it gives such a wonderful metallic effect over your matte primer that it almost needs no other work to it to make it look metallic. And you can see here that I'm just putting it on the model using the rattle can spray technique. When you're going to do this, just keep the movements free, keep them fluid, try not to get any globs anywhere, try not to make any globules anywhere, and you'll get all the red paint on that you need. Once I'd done that, I used some masking tape to mask off the helmet. Now that took a little bit of time, and it's worth being a little bit careful here. You don't need to use masking tape, you could use some masking fluid, but then I used some of this stuff. This is Rust-Oleum Metallic Bright Gold. Really good for Iron Man colours. I used some of that over the masking tape, give it a good old coat all over, let it dry, gave it another coat, then I took the masking tape off, and I was left with, in essence, the gubbins of the helmet here that you can see. These are the two colours. When we put them together, you can see that this is what it looks like. Now the next step I haven't caught on video, and I didn't because I use this stuff in a lot of my videos, so if you just check through my library you'll see that it's in there, and I used some of this. This is panel liner, and this stuff is incredible. This stuff is like an ink, it's not like a paint, and you literally just touch the edge or the surface area of something and the paint will, through diffusion I assume, or through osmosis or some other chemical reaction, will just pull along and create a border around the edge of it. It's absolutely incredible. So if I show you like the Iron Man bit on the top there, if you can see that, you can see that where the sort of join is there and around the eye, it just literally pulls into that place there, and I've done it around the whole of the head. I've done it all over really, as you can see, and it's marvellous stuff for adding the detail in. I also done it on the body, again, all over. I'll try and show it a bit clearer than this now. I'll try and get a better picture, but you can kind of see that all over is that black in the edges and in the rims and in all that, and it kind of just makes it look aged, and it makes it look like there's a darker area inside. You can also see it around the back there. I think one of the other secrets when you're putting the paint on in the first place is I did leave some of the black just coming through in certain places. I didn't completely cover it in the red paint, and I did that for a reason. So I want some of the black to poke through and show through, so you can see some of the work in the background. The next thing I did was I used some rough iron from the Army Painter. So you can see like the top bit just up here, and I've done in the little grooves or on the side there, and I put some underneath as well, just to add another layer of black in there, and another layer of contrast. Finally, I used a bit of this. This is just some Army Painter silver paint, any paint will do. And what I did with that was I popped it onto a toothpick, and I put it on the edge of the toothpick, and I just dragged it along his armour, just to make it look like there's some areas on the armour that's warm and battered. That really is not hard to do, and that just makes it look tired and used and battered and ancient, and that's what you want. So I did the black in the background, I did the silver on the outside on top of that, and that's it done. There's a final step you can do if you want to. I used some of this stuff here, which is just some metal varnish from Vallejo, and I gave it a coat of that. Now you can skip this stage if you don't want to do it, or you can do this if you want to, but it just adds that final look of metal onto Iron Man. So here he is. Let's just have a quick look at him now. So you can see there the difference in the gold to the red. You can see the background bits of black in there. You can see the way that the primer is coming through the red. You can see the way the ink is highlighting some of the points in there. You can also see the silver, the aging, the almost dry brushing look on there, which I did with the toothpick. Now I did also just put a little bit on a tiny dry brush and smudged it in a certain place here and there. And that's the effect done and dusted. It's easy. Don't be frightened by it. You just need a couple of paints which are relatively cheap, and these rattle can paints will go on for a while. So once you bought them, you can use them on a few of your Iron Men figures. You can also use this red on a Captain America shield, for example. I've used it on a few things. Wonderful, wonderful, easy way of painting Iron Man, and you get a really nice result. The only other thing I've done, if you look at his arc reactor, you can see that it's a little bit shiny. I just painted it white, painted a bit of light blue around the inside of it, and then I used some of this stuff, and this is just UV clear resin, which I daubed on there. I just dropped on there and used a UV light to cure it, to try to make it look like it's got a bit of a glass cover across it, like it's got a little bit of a ceramic-y glass cover across it. I did exactly the same to his eyes. Now the base I just left black because I wanted a little bit of a stark difference. Do you see what I did there between the base and the Iron Man himself? And that was him done. Nothing to be afraid of. A real simple, easy process. It certainly hasn't taken long to paint up at all, and the end result I'm really pleased with. Now if you like what you see today and you like the way I've done it, please give me a subscription. Just press that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to me. If you want to join the Greedy 3D Patreon, there'll be a link in the description below, and you can join that from as little as nothing to a couple of quid a month, just to keep the lights burning my eyes. Please leave me a comment as well. Would you have done it any different? Do you use any different colours? There's a whole host of different colours you can use, and I've used different colours in the past, but these ones I found to be easy, and this is what I'm aiming this video at. People who perhaps have never painted Iron Man before, who are a beginner to the hobby, who just want a simple, easy process to paint it, and that's what I hope I've given you today. Thank you to my patrons. It really is appreciated. You guys that have supported me now for years. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time real soon on Greedy 3D.